Okay, welcome to Clark Construction Services homework help. This is problem number 4, which has to do with Superpave asphalt base. First thing we always do is study the problem and see what it is that we need to lay out or approach. Okay, in this one, there's a lot of information being given, and there's several steps to being able to come up with a final answer and the correct answer. But as long as you remember the approach, you'll be able to do it over and over again. So let's take a look at this. What are they giving us? Well, it's base group 9, and the type is B12.5. It's 6 inches, and the contractor will lay that 6 inches in 2 courses. So that means that we're going to have some steps involved in figuring out what the average spread rate is. They give us a fin number, so we only have one fin, which is good, makes it simpler. And the planned quantity is 40,000 square yards. Now, there's no change, no plan errors, no field revisions, so that eliminates some steps for us. 40,000 is going to be the planned quantity then. All right, and the unit price per square yard is $10. So we'll know how to use that. And they placed it in 3 lots. So we have 3 lots. Each one was 4,000 tons, and the last lot was 4,135 tons. And then we have our square yards, our CPFs, and our specified spread rate. How do we come up with that? Well, here's our constant, 43.3, because this is a dense graded mix, times the maximum specific gravity, the GMM, which is the maximum specific gravity at optimum asphalt, times the thickness that we're going to be placing, which is the same thing as 43.3 times the given GMM. They're going to give us 2.540 times 6 inches to equal our specified spread rate. So here's our specified spread rate in here in the 660. So the target spread rate is set to 330, which would be half of that for each layer based on the design mix. So the contractor placed 2 layers in 4 days. So here are the daily average spread rates for each day, and the second layer for each day of the 4 days. Here are the daily average spread rates, which is, it's going to be much simpler than it would look based on the information, but we'll go through it. All right, so based upon the information, they want us to do the following. They want us to find out the planned quantity square yards, the tonnage placed, the square yards placed, the unit price adjustments for the 3 CPFs, which is up here. Calculate the project's average spread rate and calculate the spread rate adjustment. Also, they want us to put it in the comp book sheets on the planned quantity analysis sheet, which we'll see in a few slides here. The computation book pages, and note the last lot had a CPF of 1.03. So let's get started. Okay, so the first part, since there were no plan errors or authorized changes, the final pay quantity is going to be 40,000 square yards. So that's it. The planned quantity that was there to begin with is there again. All right, so from the paving reports, we placed 39,826 square yards. And from the plant reports, the tonnage placed was 12,135 tons. The paving reports are never going to match, this 39,826. They're never going to match whatever the plant quantity is. They're just, the field measurements are just never as accurate, so you always adjust it up on the last lot for whatever your adjustments are. So the plant reports, they're going to be accurate because they're done by scales. 12,135 tons is what was placed. And there are 3 varying CPF. Each requires the unit price adjustment. So let's see how we do this. Now remember, with the unit price adjustments, always take whatever the CPF is minus 1 to come up with a value of what the adjustment is, whether it be positive or whether it be negative. So in this case, it's 0.94 minus 1 would give us a negative 0.06 times the unit price. Now for that CPF, for that lot, we would adjust negative 60 cents, which is the value of negative 0.06 times 10. And then 0.98 minus 1, always minus 1, gives us a negative 0.02, so negative 2 cents times the unit price of $10. gives us a negative 20 cents. And then a 1.03 minus 1 gives us a positive, they got it written negative, but it's a positive 0.03. And it shows up in this column right. Okay, so let's keep going. So to calculate the project spread rate, what are we going to do? We're going to total the arithmetic mean of the average daily spread rate values for each layer. So that sounds like a complicated term, but all it is an average of the dailies. So we're going to take these four figures for each day, total them up to come up with 1352.82 pounds per square yards. And then we're going to divide it by 4 to come up with that arithmetic mean. Real simple. So we come up with 339.71, and we're going to round that off to 340. So our first layer was 340, and then we do the same thing over here with our second layer. Total up all these, that will come up with 1372.47. And then we're going to take that 1372.47 divided by 4 to give us 343.12 rounded to the nearest pound per square yard will give us 343. And then we very simply take the two and add them together to come up with a total, since they were two layers. So here we have a 683 pounds per square yard is our project average spread rate. So that's how we developed that. So now how are we going to calculate our spread rate adjustment? Well, now we have our project average spread rate, which is 683, that we just went through all the calculations on. And we have our specified spread rate, which is what the contract said that if it were perfect by the design mix, it would be 660 pounds per square yard, because that's what it comes out to be based on the GMM and the thickness. And the maximum spread rate is not to exceed 105%. So next step is to see how much we could actually pay for as far as the project average spread rate. So 660 times 105 is going to equal 693. Now that's all that we can pay. If the contractor placed 694, we can only pay him for 693, because that's what the specifications allow. All right, so 683 is the calculated average, and therefore the contractor will get paid for the asphalt that was produced, because we could pay him up to the 693. So 683 is what the actual average spread rate was, so no more worrying about going over 105%. So the pay area, which is the surface area times the project average spread rate divided by the specified spread rate. So our 683, our 660, and our surface area is going to be 40,000, which we can see in this next line. So surface area is 40,000 square yards times 683 divided by 660 equals 41,393.94, which is going to round off to 41,394 square yards. So we very simply take our 41,394 that calculates out minus our 40,000, because this is what the bonus payment is for the contractor. He's going to get paid 1,394 square yards spread rate adjustment, and we would put that into Site Manager. All right, so let's look at how we set this up and do a plant quantity analysis. In this sheet, we got 40,000. We had no errors, and we had no changes. So therefore, our plant quantity analysis is just going to show exactly what we started with is exactly what we finished with. So in the comp book, what are we going to have? We're going to show where our stations were, our widths, and our area. And then we're going to reference over here that we had no errors, no changes, and see the plant quantity analysis, which is the previous page that we just did. And then we have 1,334 square yards at 94 CPF. So we would have that adjustment, and 1292. Those would show up as line item adjustments later on. So here is the Superpave base, 6 inches thick. Spread rate adjustment. See asphalt folder number 12 for the calculations. This will show as a line item adjustment, of course, as we. Okay, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in our next video.